Hi, good morning,
Hi,
everyone.
hi everyone.
Hello. Hi.
Good morning from Miami for the Italian Design Day 2020. I'm very happy and proud to present this event. The Italian Design Day, it's an initiative promoted by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, together with Italian embassies, consulates, and cultural institutes around the world. It's great to be here. I work in fashion design my whole life, and a lot of time I've been asked, yeah, but what is Italian design? What is Italian style? And was always so difficult to explain it in few words. So I'm really eager to see how my colleagues can explain that. We're gonna have like 4 speakers today talking about creativity, craftsmanship, and innovation. So Giovanna Talocci is gonna be speaking about creativity, Silvia Barisone about craftsmanship, and Massimo Casagrande about innovation. Alba Capellieri is gonna be our host and relationer for this. But I want to, before introducing our panelists, I want to introduce our General Consul, Cristiano Musillo, that for sure he has a few words for us today.
Thank you, Professor Braghieri. Good morning, everyone, and good evening to those connecting from Italy. Just an hour ago, the ambassador of Italy to the United States, Armando Varricchio, opened an event dedicated to the Italian Design Day in New York, which is the first initiative of an ambitious program that unites the West Coast to the East Coast of the United States in the context of Italian design and creates an important bridge to Italy. The Italian Design Day is now in its 4th edition and brings Italian genius, creativity, and innovation to 100 cities around the world. Miami could not be missing among these 100 cities, of course, because Miami is the city of design, a city with an international calling that attracts developers, architects, and designers from all over the world. Today, as our moderator already said, we will talk about the creativity, innovation, and craftsmanship that are behind the scenes of Made in Italy. Allow me to thank the international design experts that will lead the discussion. The ambassador of Italian design here in Miami, Alba Capellieri, connecting from the Politecnico di Milano, where she is full professor at the prestigious School of Design. From Rome, the great designer Giovanna Talocci, past vice president of the Association of Industrial Design. Mario Braghieri and Massimo Casagrande, respectively professor and director of education at the Marangoni Institute. And last but not least, Silvia Barisone, senior curator at the extraordinary Walsonia Museum, with which we have consolidated a partnership over time. In addition, special thanks goes to the Italian Trade Agency, the Marangoni Institute, the Italy-America Chamber of Commerce Southeast, and the American Institute of Architects for their tremendous work in making this event possible. Let me just point out a few things. First, Italy is renowned throughout the world for its high-end manufacturing. I was talking about this with Federico Ferrante of Azimut a few days ago when I took part in the launch event for the new Magellano yacht. Manufacturing is literally the art of making with your hands, which derives from the history of Renaissance workshops. Second, Italian companies are able to combine this craftsmanship with cutting-edge technologies and digitalization. Indeed, Italy is one of the first countries in the world for the production of high-end machinery. Third, Italian design is capable of showing an innate yearning for innovation and a great attention to detail by uniting form with content, aesthetics with functionality. This means utilizing state-of-the-art techniques, new materials, and very high standards of environmental sustainability. For all these reasons, today, Italian design speaks to the United States and particularly to Miami. It tells an iconic story to the many local architects, designers, entrepreneurs, and to the architecture and design students who join us today. In an era of unprecedented challenges we are experiencing, design sends us a very important message: to know how to shape together our sustainable future, to be courageous and to be able to see beyond our limits. Using the words of one of the greatest Italian designers, Vico Magistretti, we can say, look at usual things with unusual eyes. I wish you all a great, great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Cristiano, for your kind words. So now I want to introduce our first speaker, Alba Cappellieri. She is a full professor at the Politecnico di Milano, where she teaches jewelry design and fashion accessories. She's the director of the International Master in Fashion Accessories Design of the Master Brand and Product Management at the Milano Fashion Institute, which is a consortium of Bocconi, Politecnico, and Cattolica universities. From 2014, she is the director of the Jewelry Museum in Vicenza, the only Italian museum exclusively dedicated to jewelry. She's a member of the scientific committee of the École Van Cleef & Arpels in Paris or the Giesbacher Foundation in Amsterdam. From 2013 to 2016, she taught design-driven innovation at the Stanford University. In the 2017, she was appointed ambassador of the Italian Design Day at Osaka, and in 2018 at Sydney, 2019 at Baku, and 2020 now in Miami. She curated as well several international exhibitions, and her last publications include Van Cleef & Arpels Time, Nature and Love from 2019, Jewels of the 20th Century from Art Nouveau to 3D Printing, Skira 2018, Chains, Jewelry in History, Function and Ornament, Silvana 2018. So welcome, Alba, and please go ahead with your presentation.
Thanks a lot, dear Mario. Thank you. I'm very proud and honored to be this year in Miami, which is one of my favorite cities. But before starting my presentation, let me thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and, of course, Cristiano Musillo as the consul, and the ADI, the Association of the Italian Design, and all our partners for this initiative. And of course, I'm very happy to be here with Mario, Giovanna, and Silvia, and Massimo. It will be really a pleasure to talk with you. So I have a very little time, so I want to talk about the Italian way between creativity, craftsmanship, and innovation today. I'm Alba Cappellieri. I have been just very well introduced. Thanks again to Mario. These are some of my publications. This is my last publication, presented 10 days ago at the Triennale in Milano, dedicated just to the Italian talents, between mind, hand, and machine. And this is my last exhibition dedicated to Van Cleef & Arpels at the Royal Palace in Milan. And this is the jewelry museum that I'm very honored to direct at the Palladian Basilica. I hope you will have the chance immediately after this emergency to visit it. So, the Italian way. I like to start from the Renaissance, as the consul was mentioning before, because for Leonardo da Vinci, beauty is a consequence of quality. And we will see that from the Renaissance up to now, this combination of beauty and quality will characterize the Italian way and Italian design. But Leonardo introduced also another interesting classification, that is that the Italian way is characterized by the ability to combine aesthetical beauty, manufactural quality, functional utility, and natural variety. Beauty, quality, utility, and variety are the characteristics of the Italian design in very different fields. So, just to start with some numbers, in September 2019, Made in Italy reached the $100 billion in export, demonstrating the key role of design as for innovation. Of course, design is related to several industries: furniture, fashion, food, electronics, mechanical appliances, household appliances. And in Italy are located more than 31,000 companies only in the design industries, representing the 16% of the overall total at European level. Moreover, we are the very first country in Europe by number of companies dedicated to design, and the third design manufacturing country after Germany and England for design. So it's quite evident that design is really seminal for our Made in Italy. But as Mario was mentioning at the beginning, what is design? Because it's very difficult a definition of design. Let me start saying what design is not. Design is not drawing, even though they share the same etymological root. Design is not drawing, but in its name is contained the signum. Design is a sign that, exactly like an incision or a seal, is the sign of contemporaneity. Design is so important because it's probably among the different disciplines the most orientated towards the future. So design is a sign of a future. It's so difficult to define exactly, to give a close definition of design, because design is in everything and is in everything. I used to ask to my students to Google the word design, and you will find associated to almost very different industries and types, from nail design to pizza design to the more traditional retail, fashion, furniture, interior, lighting, and so on. So if we agree that design is a sign of contemporaneity and is a discipline that runs among the majority of our world, generally speaking, design is considered just the cherry on the cake. But design is not the cherry. Design is the cake. And as Thomas Watson, the founder of IBM, said, good design is good business. So I'm not just talking about art, culture, beauty. I'm also talking about business, because good design is a very important drive for innovation and accordingly very good for business for our companies. At Politecnico, we have a very open idea of design. For us, design is not a product. Design is a process that bridges together, links together all the different phases, from research to concept to product, production, and then to market. That means from the main idea to the implementation of the same idea, and then to what this idea will bring to the market. This is the reason why my favorite definition of the designer is coming from Bruno Munari, who in 1971 wrote a seminal essay that is Artista and Designer, Artist and Designer. And he said, the designer is a planner with an aesthetic sense who works for the community. And in this aesthetic sense and in this working for the community, there is the main difference between designer and an artist. And these are some of our heroes, the Italian designer, coming from very different fields, from furniture to fashion to lighting. We have our master like Gio Ponti or Bruno Munari or Achille Castiglioni, or contemporary designers like Antonio Citterio or Giorgio Armani for fashion, Gianfranco Ferré, Piero Lissoni, and so on. What do they have in common, since they work on very different types of objects? What they have in common is working like a bridge between past, present, and future. I love to think at the designer, at the Italian designer, like the Janus god, the Roman god with the ability to look back and to look forward at the same time. So Italian designer have this peculiarity to link past, present, and future among three pillars: craftsmanship, creativity, and innovation. Creativity, of course, derives from creation. That means to give birth. And since the artist use fantasy and the designer creativity, the ability of the Italian designer is to design not just products, but to design behaviors. That means a radical change in terms of society. This is the reason why I have a bit changed the definition of creativity, not just something radically new, but a process of assembling ideas by recombining elements already known, but assumed to be unrelated to each other. Do you remember when Steve Jobs used to say connecting the dots? Well, I really believe that this is the main job of designer. What does this mean? It means that when Bruno Munari saw tides, something radically different, he saw in the tides a lamp. Exactly like Achille Castiglioni saw a stool into a bike seat. So we can say that creativity as a pillar in multidisciplinarity. The masters of the Italian design, they played in different grounds, from architecture to product design, from publication to creative direction to interior design. Let me give you just a very quick demonstration. Luigi Cacciadominioni was a very good architect and also a very good furniture designer. Carlo Scarpa, the same, from the amazing Olivetti store in Venice to some of the most beautiful glass vases. Franco Albini, he designed the graphic and exhibit design of the Milan Metro and also some of the most iconic pieces of furniture. From creativity to craftsmanship, Italian design loves to define itself industrial, but it's true that in this being an industrial discipline, there is a lot of craftsmanship. The consul was talking about hands. I love to think that the Italian hands like talking hands, not just for explaining our ideas, but because we have hands in the most beautiful products. And once again, even this topic is coming from Renaissance, from having man in the center. The new humanism is coming from this. So we will see that the majority of designers, they work with their hands for experimenting new languages and new shapes. Wood, the master of wood is for sure Pierluigi Ghianda, rather than materials like wicker with this amazing Margherita chair in wicker by Franco Albini, rather than clay and ceramic with the beautiful, for example, Ettore Sozza's vases. Glass, we have lots of amazing glasses pieces realized by our designers. And of course, even for fashion, like fabric and beautiful clothes, gold and jewelry. Coral, we have the ability, thanks to our hands and to our craftsmen, to transform a material into an object of beauty. And of course, the list could be very, very long. And the third, but for my side, really the most important aspect of the Italian design is related to innovation. Innovation, I could spend days talking just about innovation. So, of course, it derives from the Latin word nova, and it refers to something new. Let's see how some of the Italian designers have experimented innovation. They did thanks to the cross-fertilization approach, the ability of mixing materials and technologies coming from very different contexts. Like, for example, with the gomma piuma, the plastic foam invented by Pirelli and used for the trunks during the war. Then, when the war was over, Pirelli asked to some designers and architects how to transform gomma piuma. So Marco Zanuso created a new comfort with the lady armchair, and Bruno Munari a new way of looking at toys thanks to the gomma piuma. But also Cini Boeri reinterpreted and went over the limits, the structural limits of glass. Rather than Alberto Meda transferred the Kevlar material from aircraft to furniture. Or even in terms of jewelry, this was an amazing project by Massimo e Lella Vignelli. They were the New York best graphics. They designed a beautiful object at the beginning of the 80s, but it was not possible to realize it. San Lorenzo created an icon thanks to the cross-fertilization. Or also Emilio Pucci that invented a new material that was perfect for sportswear. Ettore Sozzas changed radically the work of journalists or people using typewriter with its Valentine, introducing color, introducing beauty, introducing portability into a very common object. Exactly like Antonio Citterio in 1979 saw for the first time the new behaviors of watching TV seated in a very comfortable way, and he designed the diesis. Or Marco Zanuso and Richard Sapper, for the first time, they changed the role of TV from a big, ugly box into a small, colorful, elegant, and portable TV. Exactly like Pininfarina gave to Ferrari and to many cars its beauty, till the new technologies, especially the 3D printing interpreted by Dennis Santachiara in this kind of poof, where you can have the face of the owner on it. So creativity, craftsmanship, and innovation are, from my side, really the sources of the Italian design. And I think that they can be three very useful pillars, even now that we are facing all the difficulties for the COVID. It's very important to use these three pillars in a digital way, especially for the craftsmen. And I think that the Italian way, the Italian attitude will continue to produce beautiful and innovative piece. So, as we were saying, look at ordinary things with extraordinary eyes. Thank you so much. And Mario, I hope to have respected my timetable.
Thank you, Alba. I have to say your introduction was extremely illuminating. Now I'm way more prepared in explaining what Italian design is. I even took the liberty to screenshot some of your beautiful slides. Now is the turn of Giovanna Talocci. Giovanna Talocci is a product and interior designer. She's connecting from Rome. She began her professional career during the second half of the 70s after completing her education. In 1995, she founded her own studio, the Talocci Design, that brings her name. The studio operates with a group of collaborators, mainly in the product and exhibit design fields, as well as dealing in communication and events organization. A natural curiosity for innovation, her research into materials and technology, and an insightful observation of her surroundings have allowed her to design in an extremely wide range of fields, and for prestigious companies such Teuco, Foppa Pedretti, Fantini, Poltrona Frau, Prove, Scarabeo Ceramiche, and many more. She has received numerous acknowledgements. That was a very difficult word. Including numerous selections for the ADI Design Index, mentions of honor at the Golden Compass and Design Plus and German Design Awards. And she also combines her work as a designer and interior architect with art direction for commercial spaces and private homes. She has curated many cultural events and has participated both as guest and as a presenter in a number of television programs of design and food. She has been president of various design contest commission, and she has taught a number of universities and design schools. She has been a member of the ADI, Industrial Design Association, since 1979. And she has been on the ADI's National Directive Committee from 2004 to 2017. She's a member of the Orientation Committee for the National Innovation Award, and she was also part of the first Italian Design Council. So, Giovanna, after this astonishing presentation, please, can you talk about your work? Giovanna, you are muted.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Mario. Thank you for Paul for invitation me to this is very important event for the Italian design. I am sorry, my English is not very good, so I will read my my speech. My job is definitely a creative one, as many other jobs. But what is creativity in design, and where does it spring from? When I start a new project, first thing I do is try and understand what is happening in industry in which I will be operating, whether there are new habits, whether what is existing fully respond to the public needs and wishes, or if there are areas yet to be explored or improved. So sometimes the approach is more functional, some others more technical, and other times more emotional. I believe that showing the product I have designed can be better explained to creative process they were generated by. I try to, okay. Okay. Okay, my experience, I speak about three products that I designed. My experience in design product for the wellness industry goes back to many years ago. I have followed and sometimes pioneered the evolution of the human desire to have a place at home where you can relax through water. I have designed many whirlpool bathtubs and mini spas to bring this most natural experience of relaxation to many. In early 2000, I realized that a step forward could be made. I designed a range of bathtubs whose shape and function would allow to be placed not only in the bathroom, but also in a living room, a bedroom, or in a small home spa or in a garden. A bathtub to be used with family and friends too. I imagine being on the seashore, being able to sit and plunge legs in the water, or lying down flat, just listening to the sound of little waterfall. This is how Seaside was born, a product for Teoco, a square-shaped bathtub with a large area where you can either sit with your leg in the water or lie down on the cushion in soft polyurethane, or dive in the water beside a waterfall, which is lit by a warm light. In this product, the emotional aspect is as important as the functional one. Another of my projects that was born from observing the widespread desire for relaxation areas at home is Logica for Effe. Here, I recognized the solution was to create a product which pays respect to both the North European sauna tradition and the Mediterranean tradition of hammam. At first, I designed a sauna which combined the shower area in the same product, considering that having a shower is part of the sauna ritual. The product was completely made with wood, a material which is great for the sauna, but less appropriate for the shower. So in the evolution of this product, I also wanted to combine the hammam by choosing the most suitable material for each area, natural materials that need to respect tradition and functionality. The structure is made of aluminum. The sauna area is made of natural hemlock wood, while the shower and hammam areas are tiled with very thin laminated porcelain joined with glass where necessary. The creative inspiration for this project was born from combining form and function with the tradition of cultures that are otherwise far from each other, the sauna and the hammam. A completely different project is Orecchiotte, realized with Rina Menardi. On this occasion, I was invited to participate in an exhibition. A number of designers were asked to design an object inspired by orecchiette, a typical pasta from the southern Italy-Apulian tradition. I thought of design a dish which resembles the pasta shape, which is made by a specific hand movement and uncrafted, like the pasta it takes inspiration from. I have designed the dish in various dimensions, and I have asked Rina Menardi to produce the range with me. Rina is an outstanding artist who produced collection and uncrafted objects made of very thin stoneware in beautiful colors. In this case, my creativity was heavily influenced by Rina's artisanal skills and artistic sensibility. each project has its own story. Thank you.
Wow. Great. I'm extremely impressed. Thank you for your report. I feel that I can't go home and now my bathroom is not gonna look to my eyes the same now. But very, very, very good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now is the time for Silvia Barisone. Silvia Barisone is Italian and resident in Miami. She is the chief curator of the Wilsonian FIU at Miami Beach. She's a writer on aspects of the 20th century design and material culture. During her tenure, she has curated many exhibitions at the museum, including The Rebirth of Rome, Modern Dutch Design, and Made in Italy, Mita Textile Design 1926-1976, which was mounted in collaboration with the Wilsoniana, the sister institution in Genoa, Italy, where she served as founding curator. Between 2005 and 2011, she taught for the FIU architecture program in Genoa, a course in design and Italian culture. For the Guggenheim in New York in 2014, she was an advisor to the exhibition Italian Futurism, 1909-1944. In 2016 and 17, served as a selecting juror for the Samuel Kress Foundation affiliated fellowship at the American Academy in Rome. As a recognition of her contribution to the arts, in 2014, she was bestowed the Cavaliere dell'Ordine della Stella d'Italia, Knight of the Order of the Star of Italy, by the Italian government, which is awarded to outstanding expatriates promoting Italian culture and elevating national prestige abroad. Silvia, welcome.
Thank you, Mario. I created too many expectations, maybe. I'm happy to talk about craftsmanship. And then naturally, I'm inspired by the collection of the Wilsonian in Miami and in Genoa. If you don't know the Wilsonian, it's a collection of art, design, and material culture from the period 1850 to 1950, devoted particularly to Europe and the United States. But today we talk about Italian craftsmanship, and I would like to start from the Biennale in Monza, because the 1920s were a very important moment for the renovation of the Italian decorative arts. The craftsmanship of the artisans in Italy was renowned, but they were just stuck to the historic styles. So the Biennale in Monza, which is the center of Brianza, where the main furniture manufacturer reside over at least over 2 centuries. So in Monza, was chosen as the seat of this international biennial for decorative arts to improve the quality of Italian design in a comparison with the foreign production. It's interesting to know that in the beginning, the Biennale were divided into regional and national sections. I just want to show you some masterpieces which were displayed at the Biennale and are now part of the collection of the Wilsoniana in Genoa. This was in the Triveneto section, so for representing the region of Veneto. Vittorio Zecchini was an artist, glass designer and furniture designer, presented this piece which was inspired by the folk tradition, but with the craftsmanship in the incised work, gilded work, inspired by the Vienna Secession through the Byzantine tradition of Venice, and the contrast with the black surface of the sturdy chest is a particular, I can say it's a masterpiece of craftsmanship and the creativity of the period. And in the second Biennale in 1925, Campbellotti, who is one of the most interesting designers and artists of the Roman group of artists in the 1920s and 30s, created this sculptural piece called La Notte, which is one of the masterpieces of Italian Deco, where you can see the innovation in the use of materials, like actually innovations, because it's ebony and ivory that has been used for centuries. But again, the shape, the very modern shape, which is inspired by the vernacular furniture of the Roman countryside, with these sculptural carved women, stylized women with the typical hat of the peasants of the Roman countryside. It's a real is a piece that has been considered a masterpiece and included in the catalog of the Paris Exposition des Arts Décoratifs, which celebrated the new style Art Deco. Here is a picture of the installation at the time in 1925. But in 1933, the Biennale from Monza moved to Milan. Mussolini himself was the head of the fascist regime. He realized that the importance of the arts, of the decorative arts in a country which is not very strong in primary sources, but has such a skilled artisans and manufacturers. The style changed completely in the 1930s. In the park of the Triennale, a series of model houses were presented. I chose the famous Villa for an Artist, Villa Atelier for an Artist by Gino Pollini, where you can see how the Italian design has been updated to the European production. Gino Pollini include tubular steel furniture produced by Tonet, and while on the wall you can see a cabinet and a cocktail bar designed by Luigi Fontana from Milan. So starting from this interior, we can see how in the meanwhile also in Italy the tubular steel production was starting, inspired sometimes from Bauhaus models, but also creating new models like this stacking chair designed by Mucchi for Emilio Pino, one of the great collaborations between a designer and a manufacturer, that was just presented at the V&A recently in an exhibition on modernism. And what is interesting of Italian design is always, as we know, this combination of craftsmanship, of natural materials with more artificial materials, this combination between leather and tubular steel, which we can see in this armchair designed by Luigi Vietti in a collaboration with a firm of Genoa. Very often in those periods they were just proto design collaborations that lasted for just an object, for a design object. And I think it's interesting to compare it with the armchair made for Savaia Moroni, designed for Savaia Moroni by Jean Nouvel, which was the first manufacturer, like the first work that was manufactured for him by an Italian company. So, and let's go to Fontana Arte, that participated in this interior design. Fontana Arte is a typical example of a production that combined craftsmanship and like the research, the innovation in the use of glass. This was an interesting piece, a colossal bowl that comes from a villa near Varese, which is part of the production, let's say, made for a limited production for an elite clientele. But there are pieces that are still like evergreen, like the tables designed in 1932 by Piero Chiesa, that are still on production. And the research on the potential of glass in those years were very much promoted also by the regime. In 1914, actually, they suggested to eliminate the medieval iron gates in favor of the use of tempered glass. And naturally, a tribute to, as Alba already did, a tribute to Cini Boeri, a great designer who passed away recently. And as you can see, there are new companies that started to work on the potentials of glass. But before the war, Italian design was not so well known, and an event that really was pivotal for Italian design was the exhibition Italy at Work, that really expanded the world of Italian design and Italian craftsmanship in the United States. It was a traveling exhibition that started from the Brooklyn Museum, and now at the Brooklyn Museum, 100 pieces are left from this traveling exhibition that from 1950 to 1952 traveled in 12 American museums. The table by Mollino is, as you know, a combination of craftsmanship and creativity. I love this image showing the workshops. And in this Italy at Work exhibition, many famous names participated, from Fornasetti to Gio Ponti. But I would like to just concentrate 1 minute on one object, the so-called chiavarina, the chiavari chair, which was designed and starting to produce it around the middle of the 19th century in the city of Chiavari. It was a very super light chair, and designers and craftsmanship and craftsmen re-elaborated its design through the years. So it was presented in Italy at Work, and then designers created new models through, as I said, through the years. And I think it's very interesting to look at the design of the Chiavari chair in 1933, which was pointed out by the magazine Domus, because it was an example of a traditional vernacular chair using wicker, but looking at the inspired in the same time by the tubular steel furniture of the Bauhaus. So it became so popular that even for the Triennale in 1954, it was on the catalog, on the cover of the catalog, and actually it ended up with the Superleggera by Gio Ponti, that was a re-elaboration of the Chiavari chair that is still produced, and it's a combination of craftsmanship and innovation, and won the Compasso d'Oro in 1957. Naturally, in the post-war period, our collection stops in 1950, but we collaborated with the companies like Cartel last year with the Italian consulate, and in the post-war period, the research that goes towards innovation in the potential of the newly patented plastics. Cartel was founded in 1949, and Gio Colombo designed in 1965 the incredible Universale chair, and obviously then the use of polyurethane that from which designers could obtain incredible and playful shapes. This is like the famous Donna chair with this anthropomorphic shape by Gaetano Pesce, who also collaborated with Wilsonian thanks to Alaiber, who is the main collector of Italian design in Miami. Gaetano Pesce is like the artist and designer that intervenes in the object itself, so that there is no serial production. Every object is different from one other. And in this case, he created the information desk for the Wilsonian with the shape of a W to celebrate the Wilsonian. Thank you for your attention, and let's talk about innovation.
Thank you to you, Silvia, for your nice presentation. Okay, now it's time to introduce Massimo Casagrande. Before that, if you have some questions for our panelists, it's time to start writing them in the question and answer section. So you can be answered after Massimo presentation. My presentation of Massimo is going to be organic. He refused to give me like a little paper to help. We know each other from very, very long time. We work in the same school from, I would say, ever. I take pride to call him my former student. So I did a good job, I always say. He was previously a freelance fashion designer. He worked and collaborated extensively with Versace. He had his own fashion brand of shirts. He taught and then became program leader in fashion for the Istituto Marangoni in London for many years. How many years, Massimo? And so 13 years in London, and then we decided to start this adventure in Miami. So let Massimo Casagrande speak about innovation in Italian design.
Mario, thank you so much for that introduction. So I'm going to be talking about innovation, and what I'm going to be looking at is how different Italian brands and different Italian design studios are going to be using innovation through their products. Now, 3D printing, I know, is not something really new. It's been around and used by architects and designers and engineers for quite a while. But what I wanted to focus on, two different types of people. The first one was this guy called Richard Beckett, who's an architect and material scientist. But he collaborated with Massimo Nicosia. Massimo Nicosia, an Italian, who now designs for Zegna, but he used to be the head designer for Pringle of Scotland. And what was really interesting, that when they created the collection for the 200 years of Pringle of Scotland, this very iconic traditional brand, Massimo, an Italian, teamed up and actually started using 3D printing mixed with knitwear. So it was really nice how you've got this old school craft technique mixed with the digital. So it's like what Alba mentioned before, this cross-disciplinary between the different fields and the different design fields. And I thought it was really nice. Also, it was the first time ever that 3D printing was actually used on a ready-to-wear runway. And it's really nice the way that the 3D pieces got integrated with the hand knitted pieces. It was really, really nice. And then more appropriate, more to now, we've got the Mario Cucinella architects, and what he's actually created this proposal for 3D printing houses, but by using clay. So it's actually, this is outside Bologna, and he was inspired by Italo Calvino's book, Invisible Cities. And this project is called Tecla, which again comes from the Calvino book. But it's a prototype of house. It's actually been approved, and they're gonna start actually making them soon. But it's really great. You know, it's a cradle to cradle, so it's 3D printed out of clay. 3D printing is also very important, and we saw now with COVID, there was a startup company in Italy that actually
Scusa, non sta andando la presentazione.
No, okay. No, I don't have an image for what I'm talking about now. Sorry, I was just saying that there's a 3D startup company that actually printed For the hospital in Brescia, they actually print 3D printed materials for the respiratory machines for the ICU units. So 3D printing, it's as we can see, it's been used across different disciplines, not just the
Massimo,
design.
sorry to interrupt you, but you not scroll, your slides are not scrolling in the presentation. So you're still on your first page for us.
Sorry. Okay, I'm scrolling here. Right. So you still stuck on which page?
We are on your on page 2.
Can you see Pringle of Scotland?
No.
Okay, hold on. Can you see
now?
it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Can you see? Okay, sorry about that. I was scrolling happily this side, sorry. So this is Mario Cucinella's 3D printed houses made out of clay. So this was, like I said, this is outside Bologna and was inspired by Italo Calvino's book, The Invisible Cities. The next I want to talk about Highway. So this is an Italian company called Roveri, and what they're doing is they're using carbon titanium, but they actually looked at the world of watches and how they use a solid piece of titanium to create the product. And I thought this was really interesting because each eyewear that they create is produced in-house and every block is unique. So when they create it, it has its own unique pattern. So again, looking at something from a different discipline and using it for their own product is something that I found interesting. They've actually teamed up with a blogger called Watch Anish. And it's quite interesting. And this blogger is someone who's related to the watch world. So even through the way that they're promoting these, they are looking at the watch industry. So this cross-disciplinary, and Alba before had a picture of iconic Italian designers, and one of them was Gianfranco Ferrante, who we all know before being a famous designer, he was an architect as well. So that sense of sculpture and creativity of architecture was always expressed in his garments, especially his shirts, which is absolutely amazing. The next slide I want to talk to you about is this young Italian designer. His name is Roberto Di Stefano. He lives in Milano, and he's created this collection of accessories. And what I really love about this, and we're going to be focusing a lot on this type of genre, is the fact that luxury can be sustainable. What he's done, it's the first time that's been created out of cruelty-free, vegan, and sustainable materials. These bags are all actually created using cactus leaves. So they make leather out of cactus leaves, and all the products have been sourced sustainably. And here's just so you can see the extent of the collection. And continuing with sustainability and with vegan, we've got these 3 Italian brands that have all created shoes used out of vegan leather, recycled plastic bottles, from cereal, from corn. So there's lots of this looking towards nature, looking towards biomaterial, which are actually used. So for example, the first one on the left is Iata. They're from an area in the Marche in Italy, and they use corn, recycled tires, and plastic bottles. So again, they're trying to find alternatives to leather to be eco-friendly. Then we've got ACBC, which is from Milano, and they use, which is the bottom left, and they actually use algae and they use eucalyptus leaves to create leather. And then on the right, we have a brand from Padova, and they actually use apple skin to create the leather. So again, we've got this sort of going back to nature, but using the waste to create alternatives to leather. And Bottega Veneta as well. Bottega Veneta created these biodegradable footwears, and they made it out of sugarcane and out of coffee to create these boots. So again, it's focusing, we see how designers nowadays are focusing on the environmental impact, and they're trying to reduce greenhouse effects. So it's actually going back to nature, taking the waste, which is so, so important. Here's another company. This is actually a startup company, and they called Playwood. And what's really good, it's assembly system. So you can create anything that you want, any shape. It's transformable, it's recyclable, it's repairable. It's the connector. So, you know, you buy your pieces of wood or whatever material you want to use, and using the hinges and the clamps and an Allen key, you can create your own piece of furniture. And as I said, what's good about this is the transformability, the versatility of the product. You can have a table one day and then just rechange it, remount it into something else. And this is really good. And they've actually just broke now into the American market. So they've been exporting to here, which I think is really good. And as you can see, they use MDF wood as well. And I just wanted to say that there's an American company called Chipsboard that are creating MDF by using potatoes. So they work with McCain's, the crisp company here, and they get the potatoes from them to make materials. And now they're actually expanding into design, as in interiors and product, and also in fashion, which is really great. Cartel as well, an iconic brand in Italy, but what they've been doing, I mean, they introduced the bio chair in 2008, which was made with vegetable polymer, but they've relaunched now as well the Componibili, which were created in the 60s, iconic. You can see them there, the round containers. But now again, these are being repurposed and reproposed using agricultural waste. So they're taking, it's like using fermented bacteria as well. They're using the bioplastics. So it's reintroducing iconic Italian design pieces, but innovating it with what is happening now in terms of innovation, in terms of environmental sustainability. And then we also have the artificial intelligence chair. So it's the first chair that was designed and created between a collab between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. And this is made 100% with recycled thermoplastic. Another company, which is from Catania, is a company called Orange Fiber. And what they do is they actually create fibers and yarns out of oranges. So when you're making your orange juice and you're squeezing your orange, the leftover pulp is being transformed into yarns. And we can see they've actually collaborated with Ferragamo on the right, and they created this knitted pieces for Ferragamo. So again, it's trying to understand what was once considered wastage and unused is now being repurposed to create iconic design pieces. And what's really interesting to see that all of these are actually from young startup brands. So it's this youth that are purposing and leading us in new direction with the Italian design. Another one which I really like a lot is Vegea. And they actually create leather using grapes. So when you make the wine, the leftover pips and the leftover skin of the grapes gets converted into leather. And what we can see on the top left is a bag they made in collaboration with H&M for their Conscious collection. On the bottom right, on the bottom left, they made the leather seats for a Bentley. And then you can see that the leather jacket as well is being made into fashion. So this leather, which is made from leftover wine residues or the grapes of the wine, is being converted into leather, which is absolutely stunning. And, you know, it connects back to what Alba was saying about Michelin and the cars, you know, with the foam. And now we've got sort of the wine turning into leather for the cars. So it's a great sort of continuation of that story. There's Margu, which is another company that does flooring, but they use mushrooms to create the flooring tiles. So again, it's 100% plastic free, but it's taking in the laboratory the mushrooms to create the tiles. High Society Studio is this company in South Tyrol. Again, it's a startup company, but they create these lamps by using tobacco and hemp and leftover coffee as well. So by repurposing all the waste, we get these amazing environmental, eco-friendly. Paolo Dorigo Sempere, he created these stamps with the algae from Venice. So, you know, and what he wants to do, he's called this collection From Venice with Algae, because he would like to see how this technique, this innovation is, you know, transported across the world. He works with a company called Flavini, which is since 1992 they've actually been working with converting paper into algae, but now what he wants to do, he's using it. They all handmade himself. And what's interesting is the technological side. If you scan the barcode, you actually get taken to a video and they can show you how the stamp is made, how they take the algae and convert it into a paper. So again, you got sort of this interaction, this digital, where you've got the product, but then you digitally connect it into it. The traceability and the transparency is very, very important. In terms of fashion, we're looking at digitalization as well. So using techniques. Now, Mario is too humble, but Mario created all of these. So behind me, you see old school made with paper, but now, we're digitizing as well, and we actually be able to create these avatars. So we're taking the old school and updating it into the digital. We still work both ways, but even with fashion, we are updating. And what's really great is this is helping us to be sustainable as well, because we're cutting back on wasting fabrics, but we can also see, as per this slide, we can see how an outfit moves and looks and how the fabric, so again, we don't have to cut and create too many prototypes. This is all done digitally using the system called Clo 3D. And then, let's not forget that we're going through a pandemic now, but designers have started working on solutions for what we're going now. So we got Artemi there on the top left, which created this, they created this light that actually sanitizes your space. So it's got a double function. Not only is it allowing you to illuminate your room, but it's also sanitizing your work area. We've got the lamp on the right over here by Matteo Cibic. It's called COV. So it's this partitioning lamp made out of aluminium and perspex. And it's made to enhance the design and sort of to reduce anxiety. And then we've got these modular systems by Federica Biasi of the studio Hinoki. And again, it's made from recycled plastic. So I think what we can see where innovation is going is actually looking at the environment, looking at the waste, and sort of reworking what we already have. Thank you.
Thank you to you, Massimo. It's been nice. I really enjoyed this different perspective about the Italian design. We have like a few questions for you guys. So I'm going in order. I also want to say that Carol, for example, said that all your presentations were magnificent. So that was a very good feedback. Suniana has a question for Giovanna, and she asks if she can have the shower area in the same room as the steam sauna. Vuole sapere se può avere l'area doccia nella stessa stanza dell'area sauna.
Sì, the steam sauna, I think
can't
that...
hear you, Giovanna, sorry.
Scusami.
Non ti sento.
La steam sauna, lei parla di steam sauna, probabilmente intende la MAM, e allora la risposta è sì. Probably she intended the Turkish bath, so it's possible to have in the same
It looks like
yes, not if she intended the Finnish sauna, so the wood one with a very high temperature. But in that case, is not right to put a shower in the Finnish sauna. So yes, in the steam sauna, not in the Finnish sauna.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for Silvia from George. Silvia, can you speak about how the necessary skills to maintain craft traditions are maintained in Italy, both privately and on a state level? And by comparison, are you aware of comparable training taking places in the US?
I have to say that I think that the training for artisan, it's mostly in the workshop. And even if there are schools for, I mean, I know more about School of Design. I don't think that you learn a craftsmanship when you attend a School of Design. Maybe Alba knows more. She's more updated. You know, I usually stop in the 1950s, but I think that it's something in the tradition of Italy that still remains. And I'm just worried for the next generations. So maybe Alba, you can answer.
Sure. George, thanks a lot for your question. And yes, we are working a lot for the integration of craftsmanship and design. At Politecnico, we are moving towards a mixed model of education, including some laboratories for craft. And in this way, we want to obtain an idea of design based on an eye craft and an eye tech attitude. We truly believe that for the next designers, craftsmanship will be an essential component of the design process as it has been in the past. Furthermore, in Italy, there are some associations and foundations very, very active towards the promotion of craft. And my suggestion is to check out the Foundation Cologni, the Cologni Foundation. They are incredibly good in promoting craft among young people, not just designers. And they are organizing a very good mini master in collaboration with Politecnico University, Bocconi University, and Cattolica University. So they have understood that for the next generation of craftsmen, they need to have more skills and competencies on design, on management, in terms of business model, and in terms of digital communication. So if you are interested in this topic, my suggestion is to check out the Cologni Foundation activities.
Okay, thank you, Alba. I have personally a question for Alba and Massimo, and it's about how is important what is for you the right balance in design between concept and product? I mean, sometimes people are really interested in the concept, or sometimes, you know, like you listen to the concept that is extremely interesting, but then the product maybe is not at the right level of the expectations that the concept creates, or vice versa. What do you think about it?
Massimo, you first or me first? It's up to you. Okay. Mario, this is the key point, especially for the student, because they have great ideas, but the reality is something very different. If we look back at the Italian masters, Vico Magistretti, he sketched the idea of the Eclisse lamp on a metro ticket. And from that ticket came out a masterpiece. But right now, the industry is radically different, because at the time in which Magistretti sketched the Eclisse on the metro ticket, there was behind a big entrepreneur like Ernesto Gismondi of Artemide, with his ability to transform a metro ticket sketch into an icon. Right now, this is impossible, because what it's going to miss is a new idea of entrepreneurs related to design, with the ability to risk, with the ability to contaminate. Right now, everything must be done by the designer in terms of research, in terms of storytelling, in terms of everything. So what's the missing link right now is the company part in terms of innovation. I don't know if Giovanna share the same ideas with me. But right now, for a student, it's not enough to have great ideas without a real implementation. So at Politecnico, we used to teach that, okay, you got an idea, now let's check it out if this is really a great idea. But if we look back, we see some of the contemporary icons of the Italian design that, as you were mentioning, they were just sketches. Can you imagine Bruno Munari visiting a tight company and say, oh, I like this elastic lycra, I want a lamp, and he had the lamp. Now the same thing is very difficult to happen for a designer. So entrepreneurs, come back.
I agree with Alba. You need the entrepreneurial aspect, but and that's what we do here as well. There's lots of great ideas, but how do you bring it to fruition? I think what we do as well is we start asking the students, what is the second life of the product when you're making it as well? You know, we need to focus a lot on sustainability and the environment. So if you're creating something, how can that product be reused in a second way, either again as a garment or as something else? Business is very important, and I agree again with Albert. People don't risk enough nowadays. They they fall into their comfort zone. They know this is what the market wants, this is what people do, and they kind of create replicas. And I think as educators, both Albert and myself, with Marangoni, is we need to try and push the creativity. You know, we have this Italian heritage and DNA, and we want to give that across to students where they have to try. Another thing I think now is important for young designers is the fact of localism and collaborations. You know, maybe now two heads work better than one. So maybe you've got a great concept, but maybe you need a material or you need somebody else that can manufacture it for you. So it's also starting to build up relationships. So when we teach, yes, we have the creative side, we have the business side, but we also want to add in that the collaborative side, the interdisciplinary, because that might help you to take your idea further and actually be able to realize it, because maybe you've got the skills or the materials to make my concept into reality. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you. I think so. It answered it for me too. In the sense that, yes, I think that to be creative, you need to create. We need actually to physically make the product as well. Like, it's a totally different vibe when you can touch it, when you can see it. Like, the realization of the idea is really like the culmination of the creative process. So another question from Suzanne. I can answer this one, the first of the two that she heard, and she asking if there's an Instituto Marangoni in Miami. The answer is yes, we are broadcasting from there actually. And she has a question for Alba, if you could share again your definition of design. Design is a process. She would see it / listening again.
Thanks a lot, Suzanne. Yes, my idea is that design is not drawing. This is really my mantra for the students, and is not drawing and is not a product. So my idea is that design is based, is a sign of contemporaneity, and also that is a definition that required me a lot of time, is based on creativity. I don't think that a designer is an inventor or a scientist. I love to think at a designer like a DJ. A DJ, it does not invent the music, he mixes the music. And in mixing it, he creates a new music. It's exactly what happens with the designer. So for me, creativity, once again, is not a genius lamp, is a process of assembling. So it's an assemblage of idea, recombining elements known. So, but without any kind of relationship to each other. So my idea is that design is exactly in establishing links between things without any kind of relationship. I hope it's clear.
So, sorry, I was muted. Very, very clear, and was extremely effective, the DJ metaphor. I think.
If I can just interject, Alba, I agree with you. I think also, you know, from our side, what I tell students is nothing new has been developed in fashion since the 60s. I think the 60s was, you know, if we're looking at Courrèges, Cardin and stuff like that, innovative materials. But nowadays, we've got the technology and the innovation that they didn't have back those. So it's taking maybe a familiar concept, a familiar idea, but exploring it and pushing it from a different perspective, different materials. You know, I think we can't reinvent the wheel.
Definitely, I definitely agree with you. And also, I think that the difference between a good and a bad designer is in the ability to follow all the process, even including prototyping, including the market. So a good designer is like a good mother with the ability to follow his product like a child, even when he grew up and is far away. But you always give a look. Thank you.
It's nice that despite we work on different fields, but we absolutely share the same concept. Nowadays, this detachment from the idea to the product, it's absolutely, I can use the word detrimental. Maybe it's a little too harsh, but is literally what you mentioned about following the product, or let's say give birth to your creature, but it's really something so organic. You really have to be involved into. And in jewelry or in architecture or in fashion, I feel that it's absolute, it has to work absolutely the same way. This is also why we open here, and we hope to instill this feeling in our students as well, the same as we did in Italy, and so on. Okay, so okay, I have a question. Sorry, I need to read a second. It's from Glenda, and the question is, for me, many of the designers highlighted in Alba presentation are also architects. I'm an architect and professor at UM and FIU. And she asked if Istituto Marangoni has considered opening a track in architecture. I think it would be a great to combine the discipline already existing. We have opened a track in, I mean, we have courses in interior designs, which are, we like to be a little like, how can I say, independent between our courses, like to create a little microcosm in fashion where all our students can take care of all the aspects of a brand. So that's why we have fashion design for the creation of the product, fashion styling for curating the image of it, fashion business for managing the economical part, and interior design for the creation of the stores. So actually, so our students can take care of all the aspect of a modern fashion brand. So this is our philosophy. So we are running a little long. So it's time to close the event. I would like to close the event presenting the winner of our online contest, which was about post an image that shows your concept of Italian design and way of living. The winner is Giovanna Pierini. So I would like to announce her as the winner of our contest. Congratulations. It was an honor and privilege for me to moderate this event. thank you so much for listening to us. You were many participants. It was fantastic, and see you next year, hopefully with a much better worldwide conditions, especially for health. Thank you, Cristiano, Massimo, Alba, Giovanna, Silvia, and all the people that work in the background to make this happen. So thank you so much, guys.
Thanks a lot to everyone.
Bye.
Viva l'Italia.
Thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
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 Bye-bye.
Grazie.
Ciao.